Norse religion, also known as Old Norse religion, was the pre-Christian belief system of the Scandinavian peoples, including those living in what is now Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and parts of Iceland and Greenland. Practiced from roughly the early centuries CE until the gradual spread of Christianity between the 8th and 12th centuries, it was a complex and deeply symbolic system rooted in mythology, oral tradition, and a close relationship with nature. Unlike many later religions, Norse religion had no single holy book or unified doctrine. Instead, it was preserved through stories, poetry, and cultural practices passed down across generations. The Norse understanding of the universe was rich and imaginative. It was centered around a great cosmic tree known as Yggdrasil, the World Tree, which connected the 9 realms of existence. These realms included Asgard, home of the gods, Midgard, the world of humans, and other realms inhabited by giants, elves, dwarves, and the dead. Yggdrasil symbolized the interconnectedness of all existence, with its roots and branches stretching across different dimensions of reality. Time and existence in Norse religion were not linear but cyclical. The universe was believed to have a beginning, a destined end, and the possibility of renewal. This idea is most clearly expressed in the concept of Ragnarok, a catastrophic series of events that would lead to the destruction of the gods and the world, followed by its rebirth. Unlike many religious traditions that promise eternal stability or salvation, Norse religion embraced impermanence and the inevitability of change. The Norse pantheon is divided into 2 main groups, the Aesir and the Vanir. The Aesir were associated with power, war, and governance, while the Vanir were linked to fertility, prosperity, and nature. Though originally separate, these 2 groups eventually came together after a mythological conflict, symbolizing the blending of different aspects of life. Among the most prominent gods was Odin, the Allfather and chief of the Aesir. Odin was a complex figure associated with wisdom, war, poetry, and magic. He was known for his relentless pursuit of knowledge, even sacrificing one of his eyes to gain insight into the deeper truths of the universe. Odin was also connected to the dead and presided over Valhalla, a hall where fallen warriors were welcomed after death. Thor, another central deity, was the god of thunder and a protector of humanity. Known for his immense strength and his hammer Mjolnir, Thor defended both gods and humans from the chaotic forces represented by giants. He was widely revered among common people, especially farmers and warriors, as a symbol of protection and stability. A defining feature of Norse religion was its emphasis on fate, known as Weird. Fate was not controlled even by the gods, it was an underlying force that shaped all existence. The beings responsible for weaving fate were the Norns, 3 powerful female entities who lived at the base of Yggdrasil. They determined the destinies of gods and humans alike, emphasizing the Norse belief that no one could escape their ultimate end. This concept fostered a worldview that valued courage, honor, and acceptance of one's destiny. Since death was inevitable and predetermined, what mattered most was how one lived. Acts of bravery, loyalty, and integrity were highly prized, particularly in the face of adversity. Norse religious practices were not centered around formal institutions or scriptures but around rituals and communal activities. Worship often took place in natural settings such as groves, rivers, or sacred spaces, as well as in constructed temples called hovs. These rituals were typically led by local chieftains or priests rather than a centralized religious authority. One of the most important rituals was the blot, a form of sacrifice offered to the gods. These sacrifices could involve animals, food, drink, or valuable objects. Blood from the sacrificed animals was sometimes sprinkled on participants, statues, or sacred spaces as a way of invoking divine favor. These ceremonies were often tied to seasonal festivals, agricultural cycles, and significant life events. Another important practice was the sumbel, a ceremonial drinking ritual involving toasts, oaths, and storytelling. Participants would drink from a shared horn, making promises or honoring gods, ancestors, and heroes. These gatherings reinforced social bonds and cultural identity.